Uh, a lot has been happening.
Okay.
I've realized that the microdosing on the steroids got corrupted by a sense of worthlessness, and there's a part that is also gaining a benefit of having my physical body appear more appealing. So I became aware of it today, and I've decided that I'm gonna stop with it because I don't want that to be the motivation for me taking it.
Uh-huh.
There's that thing. There is a family situation where I was talking with my mom. I was also thinking about how transparent should I be, knowing that everything is going to be public. And there was a debate, same within my parts, same as the previous session. And then I remembered something. I remembered that uh, 5 years ago, approximately, the uh, the demon part foresaw what's going to happen, and I sat with my family and I told them that I anticipate that certain things will happen. One of the things would also be my need for transparency and the publicity. And I know that it's not for everyone to be around that. So I gave them a heads up that
Hmm.
I would totally understand that I have a certain lifestyle that doesn't fit with everyone. And if they would want to take distance from me, I would totally understand that. So that was very interesting for me to observe. And when I was a kid, and I was in high school or school, and I was scribbling in the class, as a fucking child, I was scribbling like this demon's face.
Oh yeah. What did he look like?
I can pit even right now. It's very simple, but it
Yeah.
looked like a little devil.
Okay.
And this completely mind fucked me, knowing that this, let's say, alliance has been happening since I'm a little kid.
You seem playful about it though. You smile as you talk about him.
Well, yeah, because this is absolutely fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you telling me I just want to are you telling me like that is the one from being a child who said, "Hey, we're gonna talk about this publicly and this will be," is that what you're saying is the mind screw? I'm just trying to
No, the mind
follow.
screw that I had that demon part
Oh.
when I was a kid
Hmm.
and I was
Yeah.
scribbling his face as a fucking kid.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then
Well, I
being
mean, our
reminded of
parts
that,
are always with us.
oh, this is quite a mind fuck. So there is a tab about the new information regarding a family matter. I'm gonna talk about different tabs and then I'll see where it's
Okay.
best to go.
I like that notion of tabs. I like that. I like how you're
Yeah.
saying it. Yeah.
Um, I met this girl here approximately around, I think, 4 months ago. Uh, Pretty much the same age as my ex. And I experienced something similar that is happening to me around her. Her presence brings up this certain vulnerability that I haven't experienced since my ex when we first met. So seeing that this pattern, I can tell that there is something different about this one. Long story short, we started to get closer. Then I understood that she has a loop with an ex of hers, and that made me. I
She
showed her
has
what
she has a what? A what with her? I didn't hear the
a loop.
a what with her? A loop.
So
Okay.
so in my language, a loop means she is in a dynamic that she knows trauma bond.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
I was gonna say stuck, like stuck with
yeah,
with it. Yeah.
yeah. I showed her what the loop is. I showed her what is the way out, and I was waiting to see if she will take the steps to step out of the loop. Uh, Back then, I perceived the steps to be insufficient, and then that made me want to disengage. She flew away from the island, came back. Long story short, broke the loop completely, as it seems.
Okay.
And and I was noticing this filter that I had around her vanishing, and I started to perceive her prettier than before.
Okay.
That was again quite the mind bend to see how intense it can be.
Hmm.
Um, and I was in an ecstatic dance, doing my thing, sitting and crying and processing stuff, and she was beside me. And then there was a moment where I saw her dancing with another guy, and jealousy came up. So that was a week and a half ago. And then I processed it. I told her yesterday, same ecstatic dance, and something shifted. When I saw her dancing with a guy, another guy, I felt this wall in me coming up, wanting to block my heart towards her. And then I started getting curious about this wall. The wall, to a degree, came to realize that it is there in order to protect from potential pain of abandonment.
Sure. That makes sense. I hear you.
And then that certain wall, a major shift happened where that wall part understood that there is something that I bring to the table that unfortunately I haven't met another guy that can do that. So that wall became more aware of a sense of worth in the system. So then the constriction around my heart started to lower down. And part of this of that process this week was more of an integration with the monster belief.
Mhm. What are you connecting with right now, Neo? Sensed a shift there.
There is this beautiful clip, like a 10-minute video that somebody made about Jordan Peterson talking. And he has this notion or idea that a hero has to be a monster, but an integrated and controlled monster. And more of my system became aware of how important the killer part in my system and more parts came into a place of understanding that not only they don't want to demonize him, they understand that they need him
Right.
because the fact that he can quote unquote be monstrous means that he can keep other monsters at bay.
So I would like to invite you to ask the monster, how does he relate to that child that we were with last time? What is his relationship with him?
So that will be talking to the killer part.
Yes, would you talk to the killer part? Ask him what is his relationship with the boy that we met last week.
Um, he starts crying, the killer part.
Are you curious about that? I'm going to invite you to stay with him if you're curious about it. And feel free to
How about you just speak
tell
with
me.
him? Like I could do it, but
Yeah,
yeah, just speak with him.
yeah. Feel free to stay with him more than me because it's okay. I want you to connect with him if that's all right with you.
I can do it at the same time. I sense that it will be good for him to talk with another
Ask
person
him. Ask him about it, which what he wants.
like that.
Okay. All right. So is the killer here? Are you the killer?
Yes,
Uh, some part of Neo also referred to you as monster. Is that the same? Monster and killer is the same. I just want to make sure I'm
you could say so.
okay. Okay. But you're the killer.
Hmm.
Okay. How did you get that name?
I chose it some
Hmm.
day when the system became more conscious of me, and
What do you kill?
weakness,
Okay.
and I hold a lot of aggression. So I'm the type of part that knows how to show you better not fuck with me.
Right. I get that. I can relate. I have a part. I can do that too. So I get it.
Hmm.
Um, what is your relationship with the boy that we were meeting the last time? Were you around enough to know that? And if you're like, you have no idea, that's okay too. But what's your relationship with that boy? Because he said that he thought he was a monster. So that's why I'm curious. There was this monster comment, and you're a killer. I'm just curious what your relationship is with him.
Something is disconnecting me,
Okay.
and before the disconnecting started to happen, I've noticed that there is a softening in me, and there's a confusion.
All right. So stay with the confusion. If possible, there may be a part that wants to pull you out or pull you away, which is fine. Just connect with it then
The
and we'll
confusion is
discover.
coming from the place of how the other parts in the system perceive me differently,
Or what differently? I missed the word.
perceive me differently.
Perceive. Okay. Got it. I'm going to invite you to ask them how they perceive you. Yeah. You said they perceive you differently. So, ask the various parts. How is it that you're perceived?
There is a confusion, and
I really,
con
go ahead.
the confusion is when I was yesterday at the ecstatic, a lot of anger came out
Okay.
to the point that my body was shaking and I was sweating. And I assumed that the reason it happened is because other parts understand that they need me.
Or you could ask them, is that what it was for? And let them share.
How about you talk with them?
I'm going to push this. I
Mm-hmm.
am. You can do it. I'm going to have you talk with them. Ask them just to slow down, and we're not in a rush. I'm going to invite you to hear from them. We'll just see how it goes.
Well, I can do it at the same time. If they talk directly out, it's as if they're something with me. They have the ability to be more embodied,
Okay.
which is something we all want.
So they can speak out. Or you can ask them, and then they can speak out.
For some reason, I want you to call them out, but then why?
Yeah. It is curious because I would say it's a part, but of me that is concerned that I'm becoming the self in your system.
Yeah, I understand the concern, but I don't think it's the case at all. What I think the case is, I'm doing this inner work something like 24/7, and for my system to have somebody else talk with them
Okay.
from a self place.
It helps them to be heard out.
Yes.
Okay. Right. I hear that. I receive that. So we'll have to go back just a bit. Um, I'm most curious about the confusion. What is it you're confused about?
Me as the killer part.
I'm unsure. It's whatever when I was asking about the connection between the killer and the boy, confusion and I'm assuming a part or spaciousness came up. What's confusing for you?
Okay, so
Mm.
there was this process. Oh, I'm speaking from another part. There was this process of understanding exactly what does that mean for different parts, the
Hmm.
concept of a monster. And there was a detangling. Some parts perceived uh, a display of anger as being monstrous,
Okay.
and other parts perceived saying no, having boundaries as being monstrous if it hurt somebody else.
Okay. So maybe it would help, and I know it's a little outside of the box. Maybe it would help if you, so I'm speaking to several parts. If you want to speak out loud to say, I'm I'm speaking that, like the killer is feeling X and I'm speaking this, and if you're confused, I think part of your confusion is maybe many parts want to speak. So you could just say who you are and share what you're thinking, share what you're experiencing. You're all welcome. We can have more than one part show up at a time.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk for the camp that is confused about the killer part. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we don't understand what the fuck is happening.
Okay.
We perceived the killer part as being negative,
Hmm.
but now we understand that he's a crucial element for the boundary protection of our parts and for other people's parts that we care about.
So what do you do for the system? I just want to make sure while you're here that I understand. And I know you're speaking for a group. It sounds like you said we are confused, so that's fine. You can speak for a group. What do all of you do?
We have no idea.
Oh, okay. Is that what's causing your confusion?
The confusion is being caused because there is, let's say, a deprogramming happening
Okay.
that is very deep on different levels of analysis,
Hmm.
which is quite the mindfuck.
Okay.
because changing this will change some parts of everything.
Mhm. Well, how do you feel about this change? Just your thoughts on it.
Both scared and excited. Scared because the killer part is his boundaries are very, very clear, and his level of tolerance for to be around people that don't match the standards of him and other parts in the system
Mhm.
is very low, especially considering what happened with my whole former friend group.
Right.
And I have this male friend that I used to live with. He is an amazing, let's say, reflection or representation of the demon part in me.
Okay.
And he came to the island recently, and just being in his presence brings up more of the demon's energy, and being around him is as if I'm on caffeine. So I'm jumping to another topic. A few days ago, I've there was a part that realized that he needs him.
Okay.
That
And
friend,
who needs them?
the demon,
The
says
demon. Okay.
that he needs that friend because he can trust this guy a lot.
Okay. And that's what the demon needs, right? Because people aren't trustworthy.
Yes,
Many people aren't.
yes, yes. And he's a very, very alpha type of guy, which makes me trust him because he's very honest and direct and extremely sharp and intelligent.
So who's speaking right now? Are you the demon? Because I'm curious. Because I would venture to guess not every part of Neo trusts him.
The reason why me and him grew apart is because
And who are you? I don't know who you are. Because
I'm
I
not sure
was
either.
talking a traitor.
What?
I didn't hear the word you said. You're
I trust him?
no, I didn't
Oh,
hear
the
who you
reason why
said.
me and that friend grew apart is this.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just who you said I am.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Because I was talking to the monster. I don't think you're the monster.
Probably the demon.
The killer. Killer.
Hmm.
I think so too. I think the demon ends up speaking for Neo a lot, which again, that's fine. It just helpful to know who
Hmm.
I'm talking
Yeah,
to.
yeah. So I was thinking about this. The reason why me and that friend grew apart is because I was lacking from him curiosity, and he has a pattern of being taking the spotlight and being more talking about himself rather than talking about others.
Okay.
And I told him that when he came here, and he immediately made changes that felt very positive.
That had to have felt good for you.
Yes. And I understand that I need brotherhood.
Hmm.
And this guy is something is a person that I would want to be closer with. At the same time, there is some kind of resistance in the system.
Okay. Are you curious about that?
Currently, he is in the role of being the guy that I trust the most
Hmm.
and that I'm closest the most. So he's in the category of being my best friend,
Okay.
male friend. And this is quite a mindfuck.
Why is that? Because there's something you don't trust. Is that what you mean? Is there something that doesn't feel right?
It's the stark contrast between him and the former friend group.
Oh, okay.
Also, with that girl that I met here, I was talking with my mom before the session, and I told her the story about this girl, and I showed her the social media. And my mom is very good at reading people, apparently. And she also saw it that there is a huge difference in emotional health and the integration between her and my ex.
Her, your mom, and your ex?
No, that new girl that I
Okay.
getting was a part
Okay.
saying weirdly attached. Interesting.
Okay.
That's the killer part, I assume. So yeah, it's seeing the strong contrast with the people that I'm being pulled to now and before.
Hmm.
And when I'm okay, that's a good place to go. When I'm thinking about this new girl, there's also sadness that comes up
Hmm.
because there are the parts that are attached to my ex, and they can see the contrast
Okay.
when it
Can
comes
you see
to.
it? Can you see it?
I definitely can see it,
Okay.
but for them, it's hard to observe because it shows them more of the incompatibility. They are being introduced to, let's say, a healthier version in some fronts that they didn't know is even a thing.
And is it healthier for you?
Of course, because, for example, this new girl, she is very embodying her sensuality.
Okay.
And she's also actively being in a place of pursuing her sense of calling and purpose and passion
Okay.
in other things. So, and a major thing that I saw is she doesn't need me to save her.
Right.
Which was a pattern that the daddy part was attracted to be a savior.
Mhm.
So now there's a part that says maybe I should focus on one of the tabs more.
To check in with that tab and I'm sorry, check in with the part that says you should check on the tabs and find out why. What is its intent?
Some kind of a striving part. There's an agenda for
Okay.
something.
Either will be acknowledged and say you'll check in on those tabs, or if it
He understood and
isn't,
he took a step back.
okay.
Another thing that happened when I had a talk with my mom today, when I had my first girlfriend, I think I told you that in a previous session before we started recording our sessions. Um, there was a moment where I lived in a duplex. I was at the top floor and my family was at the bottom floor. And I went down to the kitchen and I had some argument with my mom. And then she, out of nowhere, said, and stop raping your girlfriend, something like this.
Oh,
When she said that, there was a major earthquake in my system,
mhm.
and there is a part in me that believed her.
Oh,
So I went up and I told to my girlfriend at the time that she needs to leave. And then she was confused and she asked me why. And then I told her, well, because I'm not good for you. And then she says, why? And then I told her what my mom said. And my ex back then was completely baffled.
mhm.
And then the new information that came up in the last 2 months is my mom has a pattern where she would take the fall for things if she perceives it for the better of others. For example, she's okay with being the bad one
Mhm.
if this is what is needed for the greater good.
Yeah. I don't know which part it would be in your system, but you probably have a part similar. It's like, well, we do what we have to do.
Yeah, so she has that we have what we have to do part. And there's a whole process with her with helping her to step more into truth and alignment, blah, blah. And then I understood that it didn't really came from her. It came from my stepdad.
That he said to her those
Yep.
things. Okay.
And she said it to me, I think, like 2 months ago. And there was this part in me that took that information, put it into a drawer, and let's not look at that now. And today I've opened up the drawer
Yeah.
and and I called her and I told her, listen, I was doing this processing and I want to know exactly what happened.
Hmm.
And
It's courageous.
we had this whole talk about me telling her that truth for me, I think, is my top value because without truth, there is no free will. And without free will, there's no freedom. And I want freedom.
And you got to have a starting place too. That's what I hear in me. Like without truth, you don't know where you're starting from.
And I don't know what is mine and what is not.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
that's kind of yeah, right.
exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
So then I explain those concepts to her and I can see that she's processing.
Hmm.
And then I saw what really drove the idea in her head is telling her what I don't heal within myself, I will transfer to my kids. So I have a responsibility to
Uh-huh.
heal
Right.
not only for my freedom, but also for my future kids. When I said that, something in her shifted.
Sure. Sure. That makes sense.
And then guilt came up in her. And there was a very, very beautiful moment where a lot of the strength that I have in my system is coming from her, even though there are parts in her that are very harsh and kind of Soviet,
Yeah.
and there are the downsides, but there's also the benefit.
Sure.
And
Strengthen that.
exactly.
Yeah.
And she also has strength. And I saw today how there is a part in her that says, what I said to you, I should not have said. In other words, she feels guilty and
All
not
right. Right.
trying to dissolve herself from responsibility.
Hmm.
And that part in her is kind of coming, what I saw was coming from a place, there is no excuses to what I've done to you or to my kids. And then I told her that I'm not trying to give excuses. What I can see from a higher perspective is that you have your own baggage that came onto us as kids. This is being human. And she had the part that said, thought that I'm trying to make her feel better about herself. And I was so fucking clear with telling her, listen, some things that you did hurt me.
Hmm.
And the guilt that you feel is your own process to do. At the same time, you're also human. And the way that I said it was so clear
Hmm.
and beautiful. And this is the integration with the killer part and the boundaries. in other parts in my system. And as I'm talking with her, um, I feel I experience this rush of love towards her,
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
and I'm expressing that. And then she asked me, she didn't understand where it was coming from. And I just told her, It's just the here that I love you very much."
Yeah.
And there was this moment where something in her shifted. I was about to say cracked, but there was a part a little worried because of a previous session. It shifted, or a crack, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, and she said it back.
Right. A lot of healing going on here between you and your mom. When self energy is available, that's what I'm hearing is that this the part that is named demon has, from my perspective, the most access to self.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it
And
was very.
he was speaking from that perspective.
So when I was speaking with her, I was shifting from the demon and the killer part because the killer was angry,
Hmm.
honest,
Hmm.
wanted to understand exactly what has been said about me. But then, even though there was that anger, I probably the demon was noticing her reactions. And then he saw that guilt is starting to come up in her and immediately introduced also compassion and softness
Hmm. Hmm.
and connection and love and all those things.
It's beautiful.
And remembering seeing how her face shifted so strongly, where she understood the principle that you did some things that hurt me, and I'm not trying to rationalize or to make you feel better about them. I love you and I love you. One doesn't negate the other.
Right. Right. And how is that for you? Because I've heard you share a lot how it is for your mom. How is this for you?
Today, when I started going inside, I was connecting to a part that is looking for her approval, love, appreciation, and so on. And it was coupled with one, it's the same from last session or before that, where there was this wires that are crossed,
Okay.
where there is a part that perceived that if love means if I wasn't her son, she would have wanted me to be her boyfriend or partner.
Hmm.
If that was the case, then that means she loves me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I saw that this is a part that's reaching out for the approval of others, but that part is not connected about other parts in my system and what is in their best interest and if they even want that.
Yeah.
And there was this, some of that wire crossing got more entangled, detangled, and she's going to come here with my two sisters, uh, probably in a week and a half or two, Thailand.
How do your
And
parents feel about that?
it's quite the pill to swallow
Hmm.
that there is a sense of pride in being happy for her,
Right. It sounds
for
like
her
she's finding,
to meet people that I care about.
yeah, sounds like she's finding herself too. I think some of your parts or a part has pride that she's able to find herself too, that you don't have to do it for her.
Such a shift in the system. She moved from the place of I'm worried for people that I'm close to get to know her, to I want it to happen
Right. Right. That's a big shift.
because I value her perspective very much. And there is a part that is scared of that
Okay.
because that means that I'm getting more attached to her.
Hmm.
Then comes the fear of losing her.
So stay with that for a little bit. How might you lose her? What would what would cause that? So I'm speaking to the part that's afraid of losing her.
Oh, no, health issues,
Oh, okay. Okay. Right.
things like that.
Thank you for clarifying that. I was afraid you were thinking you would lose her, but you mean she's just going to be lost.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
It's easier to lose someone if you're not attached to them.
Sure, sure. Right.
There were there was there were times in my life where I wouldn't give two fucks. And it brings up tears in my eyes for some reason.
What's the sadness you're noticing? Would you be willing to share about that sadness?
Whether it's saying that he don't want to lose her.
Hmm.
Because that will create a big hole in my heart. And it's only going to get worse from here because we're only going to get closer.
So it creates a hole. I hear that when you lose her. But if you'll permit me, the hole would have been there anyways. It's now being filled. It would have been empty if you hadn't gotten connected. And I certainly get some parts would prefer that, right? Because you don't hurt. You don't get hurt, but you also don't get the advantage of the deep filling, so to speak, of the hole.
Exactly. And the feeling is growing and growing, and it will only grow.
Yeah.
And this is scary to a part.
Okay. So I think it might be worth either you or me connecting with the part that's afraid of that.
So this mortality thing.
Are you the part that is concerned about death, mortality? Are you here?
Yeah, and not my death. I don't care about that.
Right. You're afraid of losing others that you care about?
Yes,
It's easier not to connect to them, not to get
yes.
vulnerable. What are you afraid you will lose? I want you to hear this question. What are you afraid you will lose by connecting?
A companion.
Okay. But you wouldn't have had that companion if you didn't connect. Sort of paradoxical.
Yes,
You're afraid of losing a companion, but you wouldn't have had a companion if you wouldn't, if the system wouldn't connect, didn't get connected. I'm not saying that quite right, but
yes. And it's obvious that I will not, the fear will not take over in a way of distancing me from her.
So you're
Because
saying you won't take over?
that fear,
Yeah, but you're the one who carries the fear, yes or no?
I guess so,
Just- Okay. And why won't you take over?
because that is weakness.
To take over or to be afraid?
To act on that fear.
Okay. So what would you like to do about this fear? Because it's here, it's legitimate, it's real. And since you're saying, which I respect, you're saying, well, I'm not going to act on this. What would you like to do with it then?
What is there to do? To feel it.
Yes, I agree. And when we feel it, you can choose at that point what you want to do with it. You know, if you want to hold on to it, if you want to release it, if you want to use it for fuel or something in some other way.
Well, what I do is I'm just there being present with it, listening to it.
Good, good. What are you hearing? I'm just curious. I know you're doing that, but I'm curious what you're hearing.
That it will hurt very much to lose her.
Hmm. What are you thinking about?
And I have a suspicion that there is a part that is also afraid that having this attachment and worry might take away the focus of my mission and purpose.
Mm. So if you remained detached, your purpose could be served better. So says one part.
Yeah, but this part understood that the opposite is true.
Well, I'm just going to vouch for the other part and say some of that could be valid, right? If you are attached, you might not be able to serve certain purposes, but there might be value in the attachment. Yeah, I'm just saying both are true.
Yeah, I get your point. Uh,
Both are
uh,
true
yeah,
from their perspectives.
yeah. Knowing that the sessions are going to be public puts my system in a very interesting place.
And what's that?
It
What's that?
confronts the system more with truth because I'm noticing that there are some parts that are afraid,
Yeah.
and their fear is, I talked with my mom about it.
Hmm.
The fear, there are parts that value connection more than truth.
Hmm. Hmm. Because so they're odd with the demon, right? Because the demon values truth. If I got that right.
Correct. And the reason why they value connection more than truth is because they are afraid that truth will drive away connections. And then I, as the demon, was talking with them today before our session. The main fear was about the what I told you with my first girlfriend and all that story.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I can sense that the anxiety of those parts is not there anymore.
Okay. Are you curious about that? Where did it go? Where did their, you can ask them, or if it's just dissipated, that's fine. I'm just seeing if you're interested in that or to just let it go.
They understand the principles of the conversation I had with my mom today about the
Okay.
truth and free will and freedom and all those things.
Yeah.
So it's like those parts, they sometimes they need a push to jump into waters to realize that they can swim. Something like this.
Do they feel like they're swimming? They feel like they're getting to swim versus drowning.
There's this short video, this little boy or girl, I'm not sure. They are, I don't remember if they're eating something or what is happening, but they scream,
Uh-huh.
"Oh my God, this is amazing!" Something like this.
That's what you're hearing.
Yeah.
So acknowledge them, and I'm gonna say it too. Like I'm glad you're able to experience this amazing way to be. It's sort of unencumbered, more free, more open, more spacious, more connected to Neo, and it sounds like others.
So some of them are experiencing this cognitive dissonance, saying, wait, so we can be real and everything will be okay. And by everything be okay, they mean
Be seen, to have a viewpoint, be a part of the system. I'm not saying it, I'm just curious.
that
inquisitive.
it is safe within.
Good, good. I'm glad they feel safe with you.
And the part that squinting with the eyes
Mhm.
just said, how far can it go?
How far would you like to go?
Part is saying to the boundaries of the anxiety.
Okay. Well, does it know we can go to the anxiety and help it heal, which could push the boundaries further?
This part wants the freedom to dance. And that part is being hit with shame.
And that is a part that could be healed, that could extend the boundaries. The shame is what I'm meaning.
The part that wants to dance, he when he saw that girl dancing in the ecstatic, felt jealous because he wanted to have the freedom to dance with her. And now immediately my ex comes up
Hmm.
and there is sadness and a desire to save her because I can imagine that she's in a very, very dark place right now.
And you're concerned about and for her.
And
Tell
it
me more
hurts.
about that. Yeah. Are you willing to share about that hurt? It might be helpful to not have to carry all of it.
It's coming from the daddy part.
Okay.
That cares for her very deeply.
Mhm.
And then comes the killer part. So part of what the killer part does is preventing trauma bonding
Okay. So if there's too much emotional connection, you sort of like keep that at bay.
to not have it acted out on a physical level,
Right. And how do you do that? Curious how you do it.
to not allow other parts to engage in a connection with her until certain things are
Okay.
dealt with. And I can see that the daddy and the killer part, there is more mutual respect.
I'm glad. Sounds like they're getting to know each other better.
And the killer part is showing to the daddy part how hard he and other parts fought to maintain the relationship.
Hmm. Glad they're learning to respect each other.
You said why?
No, I said I'm glad. I'm
Mm.
glad they're learning to respect each other.
And then the daddy part is saying, but what do I do with all this hurt that is there? Because when I imagine her inner child looking at me, I can see the pain.
Well, I'm assuming you know about unburdening. You don't have to hold the pain. You don't have to hold the shame when you decide to let go of it. And other parts decide to let go of it, they can, but only when they want to do that.
There is a ongoing process of detachment from the trauma bond. And not only the trauma bond, also the beautiful things with my ex. And also the kid parts are hurt by the realization of a degree of healing needed in order for that to might be compatible someday.
Hmm.
And it's very hard for them to swallow the truth. There was this when we were together, I think I smoked some weed, but I'm not sure. We were in the shower, and we were talking about something. And then I said to her, I rather be sad and with you rather than being happy without you. The face you made is exactly the face that I made when that sentence
Yeah.
came out of my mouth. Because that's the definition of trauma bond.
It's sad. It makes a part of me sad.
It is. It is
Yeah.
fucking tragic. That part that said that, it's either or. It's not
Right.
both.
Yeah. What are you sensing there? Notice you're thinking.
The shift in my system are very strong.
I think it's noticing how sad that is. Sad for those parts or the part that felt that I had to take what it could get in a sense. I mean, there's more to it, but was willing to take what it could get.
There was also another sad moment, again in the shower. This time I know that I smoked for sure, and it has enabled me to step into different parts. And then I saw that some of her parts are craving some kind of an attention that she's not getting from me.
Hmm.
And then I saw it, and I pointed a finger at it. And it made me really sad to see that she also has needs that are not being met as they could. And then a part said, but I fought so hard for this to work. And then I said to that part, or some other part said, this is exactly the issue, that it even had to be a fight for it to work.
Mm. It's sad again. I have a part that just feels like I felt it in my stomach when you said that, just kind of deflate.
Yeah, that part, his paradigm kind of broke.
Yeah. And as you're staying with those, Neo, I just want to let you know we're close. We have time, but we're close to time today, and I just want you to check in with these parts. And I know this is a tender place for this one. We have time. I'm not leaving you, but how is it doing? There's a lot he's carrying and beliefs about relationships and bonding and connections, and it seems like he's transforming a bit as he connects with you.
He understands. He's saying there was a lot of fighting for things to work. And if the killer part was more present, things would have been way different.
Hmm. And what would it have been like had it been different? What is it? What's your vision of it being different?
Certain things that I will not tolerate. For example, lies. And having these walls coming up when a shadow within the other person comes up and I'm showing that person the shadow and they resist me.
Hmm. Hmm. And I'm assuming, right? I get it that that happened with your ex. There was resistance.
7 times. So I'm the killer part speaking. To me, it was absolute torture. At the same time, if not for that tormenting, I wouldn't come to the conscious.
Hmm.
So
Well, as you hear from those parts, how would they like to connect with you in the near future? Is there a way they want? And I know you do this work a lot, so maybe that's already established for you.
what's the question?
Yeah, how do they want to reconnect? Like when do they want to revisit with you about these issues?
It's already no problem. It's happening.
Good.
Yeah.
Is there anything else they need to say? Check in with them.
They understand that it is healthier for me to be around because I am not tolerant for certain things, which they align with.
Is there something else you wanted? Felt like you paused there.
That guy friend that I told you,
Hmm.
this alpha guy,
Yeah.
he told me as an observation, told me, you know, it's like you're more human now.
Mm.
And we haven't seen each other for years, face to
Hmm.
face. And then I asked him, what do you mean? And then he said, well, you allow more of your authenticity to be out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have become way less tolerant for bullshit in his
Hmm.
language, which I totally agree with. When he heard about the stories with my former friend group and my ex. He was shocked because in his head, he perceives me to be in this certain level of consciousness. And it was a cognitive dissonance for him that I would even indulge in such dramas.
Mhm.
So then I told him, well, this is my trauma manifesting,
Yeah.
attracting things to be healed.
Well, I appreciate you connecting and meeting with all those parts. And what I hear right there at the end is it isn't just evident to you, it's evident to your friends, it's evident to your mom, and it's going to be evident to your lifelong partner and your future children. So I'm just sort of saying that to say I commend you for doing the work.
Funny to think that they could watch these sessions when they kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And thank you for being a part of it. I
You're welcome.
I admire the courage.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've enjoyed the journey as well. So yeah, it's vicarious, right? But there's vicarious work that's happening in my system too, as you're doing the work, right? I mean, that's part of why I think your system wants to do it too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for the bravery. Appreciate it.
sure. So we'll see you next week, but just remember the week after. We'll
Hmm.
cancel that one.
Cool.
Okay. See you then, sir.
Bye.
All right.